Those of you who read the New York Times last Saturday may have noticed an article by a columnist who warned or cautioned or tried to educate readers to be prepared for the 1982 tax year. The usual admonition to get an IRA set up was made, and the other word of advice was to set up a tax shelter. Many people talk about tax shelters, and for the next 3 weeks I've got two guests who are marketing specialists in the creation of tax shelters. Both of them work for Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith. David Geliebter is a marketing specialist in tax shelters with a particular expertise in oil and gas. And the very attractive young lady on my right, Sheila Margady, also is a specialist in putting tax shelters together, but in a very unusual, dramatic, and interesting way, tax shelters that revolve around the entertainment industry. And Sheila, I guess it's appropriate to say more precisely movies.
That's right.
That's accurate?
That's right.
Let's get down to basics. In my opinion, and I'm in the business, I've been involved in marketing and merchandising tax shelters for a long time. In my opinion, most people, David, really don't understand what a tax shelter is. I think it's a tossed around term and means many things to many people.
That's true, Phil.
Could you give us a very elementary and simple definition?
Simple definition of a difficult. That's like asking somebody to describe brain surgery in about 2 minutes.
Okay. You can do it easily if you're not the patient.
That's right, yeah. Well, let's just say that the patient in most cases lives when it comes to tax shelters. The tax shelter business is very simply a business entity. It's like creating a little business, whether it's a McDonald's or whatever it is. In this case, it is a limited partnership in which you have limited partners, meaning our investors, and you have a general partner or somebody who operates on a day-to-day basis this functioning business entity. It's as simple as that. The investors are putting up substantially all of the capital. The general partner is putting up his expertise and in many cases some bit of capital. And when you pull these people together, you create this limited partnership. And the benefits of a limited partnership are this pass-through of the tax benefits and of the cash flow, so that you create this tax sheltering effect on the cash flow, and in many cases what most people talk of when they say a write-off or tax write-offs.
All right. Sheila, let's take it from your point of view now. In your case, a general partner would, in the entertainment business, would traditionally be who, or from what background?
Well,
what kind of group?
We will be offering a movie deal shortly.
Sheila's a little inhibited tonight because the deal has not gone through registration with the SEC yet,
it will be
so she cannot use
shortly.
names. However, it will be a very dramatic kind of film, I understand.
Very dramatic with a very major joint venture partner. However, in the case of a motion picture deal, the general partner really is responsible for doing the housekeeping. And
now, by housekeeping, you mean?
Okay, by housekeeping, I mean somebody has to keep the records. Somebody has to make certain that the investors are getting their due. In the case of a motion picture, it means that somebody has to compile a record of the gross receipts that a film generates. Make sure that everybody who goes in and pays for a ticket is counted so far as the limited partner profit goes.
All right, let's see if we have similarity now. David, in your type of general partnership or tax shelter, which essentially is oil and gas, the general partner does the same thing that Sheila just described in the motion picture business.
That's right.
He keeps track of all the property and the assets, so in a sense he has an accounting function.
That's true. Part of the responsibilities of the general partner are to do the daily functions, the accounting functions, as well as
open the store, close the store,
right,
and see what came in the cash register.
Yeah, and in the case of oil and gas, his functions also would include buying, acquiring the properties, and doing the drilling.
Now, when you say buying the property, that means that the general partner has expertise in terms of whether there's oil there or not.
Right. There's two major steps that you go through when you go into the oil business. One is acquiring the land acquisition, which is a specialized individual, what we call
and what is the second
man.
step?
Second step is doing the drilling.
Okay, let's pause for a moment for a commercial or for a public announcement. We'll be back just a moment talking again about tax shelters. Be back in a moment. David, before our public service announcement, you mentioned that the general partner acquires the land and does the drilling. He has a knowledge that the likelihood is there will be oil there. Hopefully there'll be oil there. He purchases or leases that land, and then he goes and looks for the product. I would also assume that he also has a hand in selling the product if he finds oil to sell it to a refiner. Now, Sheila, there must be a similarity here in terms of the entertainment business, where the general partner essentially starts and...
Yeah, what's happening in the entertainment industry is that, you know, there's no way you can standardize a motion picture. Each motion picture is really a creative enterprise unto itself. It's very difficult for someone who is not in that industry and does not have a following in the creative community to come in and say, this is a good film, this is a film that should be made, this is a film that should not be made, etc. This can be made within budget, this film cannot be made within budget. So what happens is that Merrill Lynch will contract with someone that we believe to be honorable and dependable to act as a general partner. The motion picture
itself... By the way, I also
yes.
assume that your general partner also has a track record. He has credentials, he or she.
Yeah, they're people who have done the same thing in the past and have done it successfully.
And David, that's a denominator in the oil and gas business.
Very, very important in the oil and gas business.
Yeah.
So in effect, you have made an appraisal, or you have made a judgment about the track record, the credibility, or the expertise of the general partner that you're becoming involved
Yeah, but
with.
Phil, that's only half of it, because on the one hand, we make sure that the general partner is credible. But on the other hand, we choose a major motion picture studio, which is, in most cases, a public company where the results and the numbers are open to public scrutiny, as our joint venture partner.
So then you're working with a Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer or a Columbia Pictures or a 20th
That's
Century
exactly right.
Fox.
That's exactly
You're limited.
right.
There are only a few publicly owned motion picture companies.
That's true, but we want to, in all cases, try to work with the best in any particular industry.
David, you're smiling for some reason.
Because I can see you trying to sneak out the names here.
No, in terms of the registration, no, I won't do that. I really would not do that. It's really illegal for an underwriter, and both these people in effect represent underwriters, to prematurely speak about any future offering before the government releases it. And we have to honor that. We might cost them a great deal of money, and that would be rather bad. David, there's a common thread between the two of you, although you're in very different fields, oil and gas and motion pictures. Could you comment, Sheila just talked about credibility, major companies. Is there a similar thread with you?
Oh yeah, I would go back to the first point. She mentioned 2 points. The one about due diligence, I think that's the common thread.
Due diligence, by the way, means what?
Due diligence really means 2 things. One is the legal requirements that we have set up by the SEC to take a look at the document, the prospectus, and make sure that it's proper, that there's no misstatements, no...
So you're saying any representations made are valid and, in effect, candid, they're not devious, and there's no misrepresentation taking place.
And the documentation itself is legal. But beyond that, we as a firm take a look at many other things, and especially the background of the general partner, who they are, what they've done in the past, what their track record has been, if they have ever had any other programs, and many, many other areas of scrutiny that is necessary in order to have that kind of a comfort level that we want to have to present a program to the clients that we have through our account executives. So that is really the common thread, the common denominator in terms of all the programs that we try to bring in the tax investments area.
David and Sheila, we've reached the end of our first segment. You'll be with me here on the Money Corner for the next 2 weeks. We'll continue our discussion about tax shelters, hope to give you some of the fundamentals of tax shelters and make you more comfortable if potentially or in the future you do buy a tax shelter either from Merrill Lynch or another broker in Wall Street. Thank you for being with us tonight, and we'll be back again with you on the Money Corner next week.